So firstly, I'd like to say a very big thank you to whoever was performing a rain dance last night. After an entire 2 months of drought, it has finally actually rained today, which we are very grateful for, because it might just save our poor plants and the trees that have decided it is actually autumn, even though it's the middle of August. But I apologise if you do hear some pitter-patter in the background, though I think it has eased off for the moment. Today I just wanted to have a little chat about the packaging that I'm using here at Gaia's Little Helpers. I know that plastic packaging is becoming a big concern for many people, and rightly so. We are currently drowning in plastic on this planet. So I have done my best to eliminate all the plastic that I possibly can from all of my products. So obviously this starts with the primary packaging, which is the bottles like these that they come in. Apologies if this one looks a bit battered, this is actually a test one which I use myself. So ignore that. But you can see this is an Empress Luxury Gel cleanser. Now as you can see, I use glass bottles. Where possible I use coloured glass because although this product doesn't actually contain essential oils, they in particular are very prone to spoilage if they encounter sunlight. Things like these you probably keep in a bathroom cupboard anyway, but in case you do leave them on a windowsill, this should help protect them from sunlight. I've chosen to use glass bottles because it makes them much more durable over time. It means that you can return them to me, I can easily sterilise them, refill them. Plastic bottles just wouldn't be able to do that. They become easily scratched and then microbes can live in them way too easily. It's also more difficult to sterilise them because obviously you can't put boiling water in them or put them in the oven and things like that, which are options with glass bottles. It does obviously mean that they are a bit heavier when I send them out, but I do securely package them, so I've never had any problems. This is very sturdy kind of glass. It doesn't break easily, but obviously do be careful if you are handling it with the wet hands. Now obviously to complete the bottles you need lotion caps. Now you will see that these are made of plastic, and I do apologise for that. Even I haven't been able to eliminate all plastic yet. Now the reason for this is it very much depends what is in the bottle. That's why I have one of these handy to show you. It doesn't have a label on, but you can see with this nice glass bottle we also have a nice glass pipette in it. And where possible I use natural rubber ones, so there is only a tiny amount of plastic in this. This is obviously this is an oil-based serum, so you just take it out and drip it onto a fingertip, spread it over your face. Also, you'll see many of my products are in jars, moisturisers for example, and you will see obviously they are in glass jars with aluminium lids, which makes them obviously entirely natural and recyclable. The reason that some of them have these plastic lotion pumps or spray tops is to do with the nature of the products inside. So these products are water-based, which means they contain a very high water content. That's not actual water because that would be a filler, which I don't use, but it's products which are largely based on water, which is a lot of things, like human beings themselves. The problem is that where there is water, there are microbes. Essentially, bacteria, with very few exceptions, cannot live without water, but as soon as you introduce water, bacteria, yeast, moulds, fungi, they all swarm in and party. Because they generally can't live without water, an oil-based product like this is not prone to microbial growth. So what that means is products that are heavily oil-based, or the case with emulsions as well, it makes water difficult to get at. So it's not so much of a problem if people are putting their fingers into this or into my moisturisers. You can have it in a jar, you can scoop it out and put it on your face. Obviously, not to put too fine a point on it, your skin is crawling in bacteria. You'll have billions of them on you. So every time you put your finger into a jar, you're contaminating it with microbes. Now, obviously, I use the required preservatives. They are obviously necessary when you're making water-based products. However, if you are constantly introducing more and more microbes, that can become a problem. Now, for a product like this that is heavily water-based, if you were constantly putting your fingers into this, there's no way the preservative would hold up for months, which is probably how long you're going to be keeping this. So for that reason, it's really important to keep people's fingers out, and as much as possible to keep air out as well, and that is what these lotion pumps do. Obviously you can pump the product out and it keeps contamination to a minimum because it doesn't take the air back in, and obviously you're not putting your fingers into it. So that is why some of the products will use these wherever possible. I have packaged them into containers which don't require any plastic at all. Now, these plastic tops, they are quite rigid plastic, and that means, again, they are quite durable. So I can take them out, and I do have a steriliser which I can use with them. So again, they will be reused many, many times if you return them. And finally, the labels. Now you can see, I talk about this on my website, these luxury range products have these nice shiny labels. They probably look like plastic, they're actually not. And in fact you can see that on this one that I've had, so I've had this for some time. I don't know if you can see, but if you look carefully you can see there's scratches on it. And that's because it's not really plastic. It's a form of bioplastic. It's made from wood pulp, so it's actually essentially paper that's just been altered. And yeah, you can see if you keep it for a while, you'll be able to start scratching the surface off it. But yes, this is entirely biodegradable. You can put it into your home compost. I have tested this myself, and it will just rot down as if it was paper. It also peels off nicely without leaving a sticky residue. And yes, the glue is entirely non-toxic and vegan. It's actually entirely plant-based, which is why, again, you can peel it off, which is very useful for me because it means, obviously, if you return your bottles to me, I can just take the label off because it will probably be a bit battered by then. And I can compost it and put a fresh one on when the bottle is sterilised. So, yes, these work very nicely. On some of my other products I have used paper labels. You might see the paper is a slight creamy colour, and that's because it is recycled paper. So it's already been recycled once. Again, very non-toxic glue used on it. Something you may not be aware of, but many glues which are used commercially are not even vegan. And many of them also contain toxic chemicals. These do not. So yes, where possible I do use the recycled paper labels. It just didn't work with these products because the way the labels were designed, the printing just wasn't very clear on the paper, and unfortunately, obviously with oil-based products like these ones, as soon as you drip any oil onto paper, it starts to fall apart. Yeah, that's my primary packaging, or glass where possible. Minimal use of plastic, and all my labels are entirely biodegradable. I am shortly going to start selling some makeup products as well. And here are my nice little tins which I have got. These are for eyeshadows. These are aluminium, so again eminently recyclable when they reach the end of their life. Again, obviously you can return them to me for a refill. And these will have little stickers on the bottom of them, because obviously those of you who remember your science lessons will realise that aluminium is not magnetic. So if you want to put them into a magnetic palette, they will have a magnetic sticker. In order to send the eyeshadows out, it did stump me for a little while actually, how to protect them during transit, as it were. All the ones I'd seen sent out by mail order, they put a plastic film over them, and I obviously didn't want to do that. However, I have come up with a solution, so when you get them, you'll see they appear to be wrapped in cling film. Don't worry, it's not real cling film. It's made from corn or potato, or sometimes other kinds of starch, whatever is growing in the UK at the time, because it's made entirely in the UK, and it's all from plant starch. So again, totally biodegradable. That's the cling film that's wrapping it, and then you've also got a little bioplastic film over the top. And that, again, that is made from wood pulp. So the whole thing is biodegradable, as is the sticker on it reminding you that you can put it into the compost. There are various versions of those stickers, most of which do not have vegan glue, strangely enough. So that is the one that does. So rest assured, even that is totally eco-friendly. Obviously, glass and aluminium are great because, as I say, they're very easy to reuse, they're easy to sterilise, to clean, so that I can keep refilling things and just sending them back out. And then obviously when they do reach the end of their life, they can both be recycled. However, they do have some limitations. Glass in particular, obviously, can be a bit dangerous if you're using it with wet hands. You don't want to drop it in the shower. And that's why I'm now bringing out some new products, which are going to be in bar form. I do have some cleansing balms, cream cleansers coming out, which will be entirely in aluminium tins, so make them safer to use in the shower. But also, they should be going up on the website quite soon. There will be shampoo bars. I've also got a range of natural soaps. These are soaps, but some people find too harsh to use on their skin. But they're natural ones, so they're gentler than most, and obviously they would be very safe to use in the shower. But in the future, I will look to bring out what are effectively shower gels, those kinds of things, but in bar form. Solid products, unfortunately, are actually really quite difficult to make. They seem like a great solution, and they are. Unfortunately, formulating them is not easy. And they're quite difficult to preserve and so on, so they can need expensive lab testing sometimes as well. So that's why it may take a little while to get them out, but I will be bringing some out. Solid bar products are great though, because I can just wrap them up in brown paper and add a label. Another thing I wanted to show you, these are the pouches which I'm using for my clay masks. These have just gone up on the website. Now, face masks are another thing where you do run into preservation issues. If you supply them already with water in them, then obviously you're going to require a preservative, but unfortunately the nature of the clays means that preservatives don't work very well, and again, very expensive lab testing would have been required, and the products can still be dangerous at the end of the day. So the safest way to do it is to supply them in dry form. You can use them very, very simply by just mixing them with water, or anything else that you fancy. You can mix them with exotic fruit pulps. You could use milks, yogurts, whatever you want. I will do a separate video talking about that. The actual mask itself, this one, obviously you need to take a scoop out and mix it elsewhere. You can't store it once it has water in it, so it's very important to keep it dry. But unfortunately most pouches like these are lined with plastic in order to make them usable, and they have plastic seals in them. These, it says on them actually, the Eco Pack, very nice, for a healthy planet. These are entirely compostable. You'll see they have a kind of a shiny inside on them, but actually if you're kind of familiar with plastic you can kind of tell that it's not plastic, and even the seal on them, you can see it's not quite the same as plastic, but it does the job. These are food grade, and they will keep the moisture out for the duration of the shelf life of these. And again, obviously these have paper labels added to them, non-toxic glue. Then we move on to secondary packaging, boxes. Now, most products that you'll see on the market automatically get put in a box whether they need it or not. And that is purely for aesthetic reasons. People like shiny, sparkly things, so if they put them in a shiny box, people are more likely to buy them. Obviously, box can be made out of paper. Generally though, you see a lot of products will use fancy metallic papers, glittery kinds of things, which actually make them very difficult to recycle and may obviously contain toxic ingredients as well. Yes, as I say, this is purely a marketing thing. They are simply charging you extra for a nice box that you're going to throw away. And I hope that some people are becoming more aware of that these days. So, on that assumption, I have tried wherever possible not to use boxes. Now, sometimes this isn't possible, and this is because there are legal requirements of all of the things that I have to write on products before I can sell them. So when I add a label, I need to add all sorts of information, which we'll see over the labels. And sometimes it's simply not possible, particularly on smaller bottles like this one, for example. I simply can't fit all of the required information and all of the ingredients in particular onto the bottle. And so in that case, you need to include a box. So the boxes I've gone for are these ones. You can see that they are craft paper. They are entirely recycled and eminently recyclable again. As you can see, they are inspired by this. The great thing is that they actually fit together with no glue, because as I say, glue often contains toxic materials, and often they're not vegan. So I can put these together without any glue at all. And then obviously I've added some labels. These boxes are maybe not the prettiest, but I've added pretty labels if that helps, but again made of recycled paper. Obviously these boxes can go straight in the recycling, and there is nothing harmful in them. When it comes to sending my products out in the post, again, obviously I have postage boxes all made from recycled paper, and again, no glue, and then obviously I have paper packing tape, which I use to seal them. However, reuse is always better than recycling. So wherever possible, I do use boxes which I already have, because when I order ingredients, obviously I can reuse the boxes from my suppliers. Now, generally I work with suppliers who only use very sustainable packaging, so usually you'll find that again it's a box with paper tape and so on. But that is why you might find sometimes you'll get packages with sort of branded tape on, which has nothing to do with me. That's just because I've reused the box, because obviously it's only going to get thrown away. Hopefully you can reuse it yourself. But yes, occasionally some of my suppliers do still use sellotape, so if you do get a package that's got plastic tape on, sorry about that, it wasn't me that put it there. But as I say, it's better to just keep reusing the box rather than throwing it away straight away. Yeah. And then obviously I will pad the box out with shredded paper or raffia or whatever I happen to have at the time, but I only use sort of natural materials. They're recycled. Sometimes if I've got glass that doesn't have a box, so it doesn't need one, then obviously we've got that craft honeycomb stuff, which some of my suppliers use, so I hang on to that and reuse that. So yeah. There's various options, and that's how I recycle it wherever possible. I'll reuse it rather. Speaking of suppliers, obviously that is another major issue. I have shopped around various suppliers, and when I found ones that used too much plastic packaging, I was very quick to complain to them, and some of them have actually listened now, which I'm impressed about. But yes, wherever possible, I deal with suppliers that actually supply the ingredients to me in glass bottles, and also sustainably packaged, and so on. With some of them I actually pay extra to have things sent to me in aluminium bottles rather than plastic, because that is an option that some suppliers do for some reason. But also, obviously, the more products I'm able to sell, then obviously the bigger quantities I can buy my ingredients in, and obviously the more you're bulk buying, the less packaging per ounce of product you are getting. So yeah, that is improving all the time. Obviously, I only deal with suppliers that are based in the UK, but wherever possible, I try and make sure that that's where the ingredients come from as well, so they are clocking up the least amount of air miles. It's obviously not possible to entirely eliminate plastic from the supply chain, because I can't control what my suppliers do, but as I say, by shopping around, and in many cases, I've gone for the more expensive ingredient because of the way it was packaged, which I suspect a lot of companies don't do. Not mentioning any names, but it's just, a suspicion. Because yes, obviously I could have gone for a cheaper option, and therefore made more profit, but that wouldn't help the planet, would it? And without the planet, there's not a lot of point having any money, because we'll all die anyway. So yes, I just wanted to run you through all that, just to let you know that I have given this some thought, and some research has gone into this. And yes, I hope you enjoy using products with a clear conscience that you are doing your bit for the planet. So please go and visit the website. I'm adding more products all the time at the moment, so I hope you enjoy browsing.